How long does it take for your internal vibration to slow down?
All night.
All night.
Doesn't it? You? I mean,
well, here's what's wrong. I'm not kidding you.
You get so worked up. Okay. Well, it's going to be hours before you get up.
Well, it's a good thing you're telling me.
Somebody else goes through that.
Well, that's what I'm about to say. Is I'm glad you go through that
you spend all day getting ready for it and all night getting over it. Right.
This is so important to talk about.
It's the truth.
But you have to realize. Remember, I haven't done. You don't know. What's wrong?
I'm just laughing. You haven't done what?
Because I hadn't done like a stand-up show. I know it's a little weird, but
okay.
But I'm telling you, the fact that this is more important. Because that's what happened is I worked the whole day to get wound up to do the show, and I had look at my notes because
it takes you all night. The whole thing goes through your head again.
Yeah, and your body gets, after you perform, you're buzzing,
like,
right?
Oh, no, what was that? You know? Because you go out there, and there's going to be a lot of things happening really fast. And you're not necessarily going to remember them all. Let's go in here.
Well, it's worse than that. I'm counting on, I have to get laughs.
Hey, where did Dana go? Mary?
Yes.
Did Dana leave?
No, she went to the bedroom and she's coming out.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it takes me hours and hours of pacing. You know, I pace. Like, she's got, my wife's just gotten used to it. She watches TV and I walk around.
You don't know what you've stumbled on here. Because I was with someone that we won't talk about much right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't talk for 3 hours.
Wow.
And it was a little uncomfortable. But you understand that.
Because she wasn't used to the routine of you.
No.
Somebody that goes with you when you perform.
Well, and I couldn't even say, I said this is going to be bad, but I didn't say, you know, I'm winding down. I didn't say anything. Well, we should talk more about that because I thought I was crazy, to tell you the truth. And then, to be honest, my shrink who's known me forever said, no, you just needed to wind down, and you should have had the...
No, I'll be walking all around the room all night afterward.
Well, you're weird. That's really weird.
Got used to just watching the TV as I circle the room, you know, and it just... Or travel's good.
Take your clothes off.
Fuck you. You guys can't afford me to take my clothes off.
Say, this is...
I'm waiting until I retire, and I'm going to go out big, you know.
That's the way to go. I'm just keeping my eye on that Neverland Ranch if it goes up for sale, because he's already done all the work. I checked, Tom, to see what it costs to put the rides in. He's already done all the work. Ah, shit. You know, this winding down thing is so important, but we'll move on for a minute.
Okay.
So...
How you like the studio?
I cannot... That's just what I was going to talk about. And this is on your private quarters and your private...
Yeah, I work indoor, leave the doors open, so the neighbors are friendly and...
So, tell me about this board.
You're interested in the board?
Well, what do you take me for?
We got this board in New York.
All right, well, that's enough about that.
All right.
Now, tell me. I'm not being funny.
No.
Tell me.
Tell you what.
I want to know about the board.
No,
you got it?
don't.
Yes, I do.
Tom? The board.
I'm not kidding. I'm not just sucking
the board,
into the talk.
This is a Neve board, German-made, very sought after in the music business. These, because they're old, and you know, this is probably from the 60s, late 60s, and so with the advent of the digital thing, a lot of the tone quality has gone out of recording.
Right.
So people having the old tube things, and you know, it makes things better.
It's just because you don't know me, but I'm just going to buy a tube amp this week, and because you know,
they sound better.
I go back to
they're warmer.
Yeah.
And you notice it. The digital thing is kind of cold.
Tom?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. So you use the tubes?
Yeah. We use tubes. Yeah.
Where do you get new vacuum tubes?
They still make them.
Yeah, they do. They make them for the audio stuff specifically.
But that was my point, is that stuff is vanishing. And it's become really expensive and precious to to come across, you know. So I've been saving all my stuff for years, and I finally got it all in one place.
And now, did you just... Is anyone feeling awkward?
No, I'm okay. I feel kind of like Anna Nicole Smith.
Well, that's because I told Tom before we started that I looked at some of the tape that we're shooting, and I feel like Anna Nicole Smith. I looked at some of the tape of me slothing around my house, Tom, and I said to Dan, I don't get this. How's the doctor going to know when this guy's dead? There's clearly no brain waves and heartbeat now, and he's still walking around. That's how I see it. I feel better. I mean this as you're making me feel better the way I thought you would. Tell you the truth. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
You should come over more often.
See?
Because you're right across the street. We've never been neighbors before, though. Did you live in Mulholland when I did?
No, but then I was down the hill in the valley. I was never that far from you.
You used to come over. You never come over anymore. I guess you're busy.
Did you turn Jewish since I saw you last? What's happened to you?
I don't know. I just wondered, you know, you were saying the other day
I miss you.
About how you don't call people and tell them that you love them, basically, as much as you should.
That's right.
Because we're all getting older, and we should tell each other these things. Like you didn't call the Pope.
No, and I'll tell you what I feel bad about, is I owed him 2 calls. And then that's the lesson. When the Pope died, I went, shit.
I should have called.
I owed him those 2 calls. But I agree with you. I mean, and I'll tell you this about what you just said about that. Because it goes back a while. I mean, I've known you a long time.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a second.
People probably don't know that.
No, we'll talk about that in a second. But the fact is, Tom, is what you're on to, which is why we get along and you're so fucking intuitive and, well, you're a Tom Petty, for Christ's sake. So,
24 hours a day.
Can you ever turn it off?
No, that's all.
That's bad. So, well, I'll show you this film when we finish it, and you'll go, oh my God, is this what we're like? So, I've looked at some, so I'm using, well, that's what I've done besides you, and there's only a handful of people that I've said, hey, will you let me talk to you like this, because it's about a lot of closure and catching up in my life, and I stopped the show.
Yeah, you did.
I stopped the show, and then...
A classy thing to do, I thought. It was a classy thing to do.
Yeah, well...
To know this has been great, and we're not going to just let it fizzle out or, you know, because time can make the quality drop on something because it's vicious, you know. But I'm not trying to butter you up or anything, but I mean, you did leave in a classy way. Because it was such a perfect little thing, wasn't it? This show. It was just perfect. The whole run was perfect.
I thought the, thanks. I thought the, you're still recording and playing though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Take a little lesson from me, my friend. So, I'm going to do... You know that's coming from... So, that show practically peaked with its last episode in a way, is creatively how I felt. I thought, you know... I mean, the Larry Sanders Show, the last episode, I thought was one of the best episodes. Like, I couldn't have written the last season if I hadn't decided that's the last season, because I wouldn't have known what to write about anyway. So I said, well, if you're leaving, but even halfway into that season, I thought, well, wait a minute, do I want to do another season? Because Larry could change his mind, but I didn't want to do another season. So you the special people who, the lucky people who got to be on the last episode.
I know I felt in an elite group.
Well,
Being
it's one of my favorite scenes, really, in the entire series, one of my favorite scenes, I would say, of a dozen scenes. There's a scene one day I'll have to show you that is my favorite that you've probably never seen. But it is...
That's the one you always play to your girlfriends.
well, when I tell you what it is, I don't know. I didn't come to your house to...
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
There's a... Give me a second, just to gather myself.
You know, you throw video in there. There's a million ways to go with video, you know.
This is fantastic. This is the most, all kidding aside, this is actually going to make me cry. This is the most fun I've had in a couple years.
Yeah, I feel good.
Don't you? Seriously. Yeah. And you know
We're
what I love
pretty
about
repressed people sometimes.
You know what's really good is there's acoustics in here like...
The sad thing is it takes 3 cameras for us to feel good. That's the sad thing. You know.
Well, there's 3 things I wanted to tell you that you brought up, and you hit the nail on the head. You know, we had a long talk before you came in the room, Dana, about winding down after a show, because I just had an experience. We just had a long, coincidental talk about that. Now, then the other thing is telling people you love them or friends and so forth and haven't seen each other. So there's a couple people that I said, let's do these interviews. The whole motivation for doing these, which is pathetic, is to say, my God, now I can get back in touch now with people, but I needed all the time off as well.
Because I remember visiting you during a few times during the last series, and you were always very pressured because, as I understand it, you were writing really under the gun, like
right.
to just make the next episode.
That's right.
And you were under a lot of pressure, I could tell.
That's right.
Like you said to me, one day you looked out, we were sitting on the porch, and he just goes, "It's the end of the fucking world." And
I'm not kidding.
He did say that.
I thought you said that.
No,
but you agreed with me, didn't you?
I agree.
I remember
that. It was profound in a way because you were just staring at. I've always remembered it, and you went.
You know,
it's the end of the fucking world. And he meant that optimistically.
Well, life is short, but not short enough. Listen to me more. I remember. I know. Listen. I remember that moment, quite seriously, and it's always what happens, there's always some moment with you where you go, why aren't Tom and I, like, seriously, best friends? Because there's moments like when you were sitting on the porch, and we were both commiserating. It may have come out of the blue, but it seemed like the minute we would be together, like now, to catch up on what's been happening, wouldn't we say, well,
yeah,
it's pretty much
the end
coming to an end, right?
End of the fucking world. Well, I always thought you meant it optimistically, that the end of the fucking world, because you were almost outside it, you know. You were saying it as an observer rather than,
that's right.
And then coming from.
No, because if it was a person who was living that, you wouldn't want to be around.
No, you'd hate them. But you were outside it. You were saying,
right.
And it had a little humor to it too, but it made a lot of sense to me.
Look, I got this tattoo. I haven't shown anybody. I got it 6 months ago. Look, I'm serious. It's a Buddhist.
It's a vulva.
No, it's a Buddhist. It's an emptiness circle. It's a Buddhist symbol for...
he really does have a tattoo.
For emptiness, ego emptiness. It's a circle. It's the empty circle.
Are you a Buddhist now?
Well, I mean, I've been meditating as long as I've known you, but I wouldn't classify it as one thing or the other.
As one particular thing.
No.
I meditate for, not as much as I used to, but it's a good thing for you.
Do you sit and try?
I don't do it anymore because You're not supposed to do it if you're stoned or something. There's no telling where that goes.
Well, I'll tell you where it goes. I do have the Buddhist book, This Is Good Shit. And then I have but I mean, it's a mostly philosophical book.
That'd be a great button, wouldn't it? This is good shit.
Isn't it funny, this, and I never know how to put this, Dan, and we talk a lot about life when we're making these and what we've seen, but the people in my show I go and talk to them about what the creative stuff and how we tried to create an environment where you could use your life and be organic. As when you, and I want to eventually equate this to music, and you tell me, because I just know that it's the same core thing, but that's why when you came onto the show, your sensibility is automatically right. It's just automatically right.
Well, that was lucky. I mean, I'd watched the show a lot. I was a fan, you know. I felt like I kind of understood what you were doing there.
Which is because it's this.
Yeah, it's pretty real. I mean, you had just enough of a line where you knew it was going to be funny,
right?
But there was room to play around that line, you know, and that really gave it an extra spark, you know. I thought it did.
But you came on to have that fight with
Clint
Greg
Black.
or
Greg Kinnear, that's who it was, yeah.
And Kinnear really kind of, you said, it's really one of my favorite scenes. You said something about talk soup. You want to switch chairs?
No, I got it now. I didn't have the lever thrown.
You got the, you didn't have
I said something, yeah, he said
there's no place really to put your feet up in this
He said
place.
he'd won an Oscar, and I said, for what? Talk soup?
And then he just grabbed you, didn't he?
Yeah, he jumped on me and started a fight. But what a moment.
This is what, you know, you're the show.
Yeah.
This is
I'm the show.
Why do people go to so much trouble to create a television show when
you could just film us all day?
Well, I didn't want to say it.
Because you talk about two freaks of nature, two battered, beaten showbiz veterans.
Shandling and Petty, or Petty and Shandling. You know, I've never had a problem whichever way you want it. And you know that.
Yeah. Where
I think
since
you're neighbors, you should maybe try to work together here in the studio.
No, that would be the end of our friendship, because I'll tell you, he likes it his way. That's all. Then it's gonna all of a sudden I gotta start talking a little more like that. If you're gonna, then it's like who's in the front and who's in the back. And can't we get a new board? And you go, what are you talking about? Okay, now I am. This is just because I'm happy.
Yeah.
These guys haven't seen me happy before.
He's never come over and not talked about his ass.
That reminds me.
know?
That reminds me. That reminds me. How does it look? I look in good shape, don't I?
You're in good shape, and I'm glad. I'm glad you're happy and healthy.
So
you've come a long way, you know, stability-wise. You really seem like you're in a good place.
Okay, good.
You know, you were under a lot of pressure from time to time.
It was unbearable.
Yeah, and then you had the lawsuit and the whole, I shouldn't mention
Yeah,
that.
you can, because we've talked about that. It's just made it very hard.
I mean, God, I really felt bad for you. You know,
you should.
We were both, I was getting a divorce and you were getting sued, so we were perfect company. You know, we could just bitch endlessly. But it was true. We were just destroyed. And look at you now. I mean, you've come out of it. You're making a DVD.
I think we should end awkwardly because we started awkwardly.
All right.
But is there anything else that crosses your mind otherwise?
No, I think
Because
we've
you've
covered it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
I'm going
could
to
add
call
in,
you, and then I'll give you my numbers and all that. We'll make sure we've got the numbers so we can talk and come across the...
Yes, we will. 2 farmers on acid.